Question number 26. 5x plus 7y equals 1. Ax plus by equals 1. In the given pair of equations, a and b are constants. They're just numbers. The graph of this pair of equations in the xy plane is a pair of perpendicular lines. These two are perpendicular to each other. Which of the following pairs of equations also represents a pair of perpendicular lines? One of these four choices will have a pair of perpendicular lines. So let's go figure out the slopes of these lines. The slope for the first equation, let me write that down here, 5x plus 7y equals 1. Now, at some point, we should be able to do this mentally, but I'll show you the process. We'll do minus 5x, and you get 7y equals negative 5x plus 1. And you divide by 7, and you divide by 7, and you get that the slope is negative 5/7. Y equals negative 5/7 x plus 1/7, which is irrelevant because I care about the slope. Negative 5/7. So at some point you can just look at this and say, wait a minute, I'm going to subtract this over and divide by 7. So the slope is negative 5/7. Same process over here. If you subtract this and divide by b, the slope would be negative a over b. This is very useful because we're going to do a lot of slopes over here, and it's good to do this mentally to save some time. I'll show you the ax plus by equals 1 as well. So here we go. Ax plus by equals 1. You subtract the ax, you subtract the ax. You get by equals minus ax plus 1. And you divide by b, and you divide by b, and you divide by b. And you get y equals negative a over b, that's our slope, times x, plus 1 over b. That would be the y-intercept, which is irrelevant. Okay, so negative a over b, just like I said up here, negative a over b. So at some point, you just subtract this term over and divide by the coefficient of the y. And you get these slopes. Now, how do we take it from there? Well, these two lines are perpendicular. So negative 5/7, we need the opposite reciprocal. Opposite sign, reciprocal. Which means for negative 5/7, opposite reciprocal would be 7/5, positive 7/5. You see, I removed the negative, I changed the sign from negative to positive, and I swapped the numerator and denominator. You get 7/5. Well, that's what negative a over b must be, because this line has a slope of 7/5 in order to be perpendicular to the line above it. So negative a over b is 7/5. That we know from here. In other words, this has to be 7/5. Okay. I'm going to write that down somewhere so I can hold on to that for the rest of the problem. We know negative a over b is 7/5. We'll keep that around. Now let's go calculate the slopes of all these. Same technique, you would get the slope as negative 10 over 7. You see, you subtract the negative 10, you subtract 10x, you get negative 10x on this side, and then divide by 7. So this one, the slope is negative 10 over 7. Instead of m equals, I'm just going to keep it simple and just write the slope, negative 10/7. This one, if you subtract, you would get negative a. Okay, well, I'll write down and you'll see, I'll show you the math, but basically I'm going to subtract this and be negative a over negative 2b. And I'll show you how that comes to be. Of course, this will simplify into a over 2b because the negatives will cancel. But how exactly is that coming about? Ax minus 2by equals 1. You minus the ax away, you minus the ax away, and you get negative 2by equals negative ax plus 1, and you divide by negative 2b to solve for y, and divide by negative 2b. This one as well, but it's irrelevant. It's just a y-intercept. And you see the slope is negative a over negative 2b, negative a over negative 2b, which simplifies to a over 2b without the negatives. So a over 2b. Okay. So it's basically subtract this term and divide by the coefficient of the y term. So you get minus a over negative 2b. Okay, but you can do it the long way. You can convince yourself it's a over 2b. So all that is just to find the slope of this second line, which was a over 2b. Let me put that closer to here. A over 2b. Now, what's the value of a over 2b? Well, that's the same thing as 1/2 times a over b. Well, if you multiply the tops, you get a and you get 2b on the bottom, so this is the same as this. Now, a over b, I didn't write down what a over b is, but from here you can see the other version, which is the fact that a over b is negative 7/5. You just multiply both sides by -1. So you get 1/2 times a over b, which is negative 7/5. You can probably stop right here because both slopes are negative, so they're not perpendicular. You can multiply the tops, you get -7/10. Okay, -10/7, -7/10. Those are not opposite reciprocals because they're both negative. They have to be opposite signs. So -7/10. So this is -7/10. It's the reciprocal, but not the opposite signed reciprocal. So these two lines are not perpendicular. They're both negative slopes. And for these two, the slope is the same as this one. So this is -10/7. And this is also -10/7. So if only one of these had a slope of 7/10, that would be the answer. Okay, let's do this one. Same technique, you subtract ax, so you get -a over 2b. Okay, which is supposed to be 1/2 times -a over b. I guess you don't need this equal sign, but I just want okay. It's 1/2 times -a over b. If you take a look at this very carefully, these two are the same. 1/2 at the bottom becomes 2b, the top is -a. That's exactly what we have. 1/2 times -a over b was 7/5. Ooh, this is promising. This is 1 times 7, 7, and 2 times 5, 10, 7/10. Hey, we have perpendicular lines because this particular line has a slope of 7/10. And there we go, -10/7 and positive 7/10. Those are opposite reciprocals, so these two are perpendicular. If you keep working with these, you'll find that they're not. But I will do those. Let's do C and D. So to show why these two are not perpendicular. So this one, the slope would be the same technique. Subtract, and you get -2a over b, which is -2 times a over b, which is -2, and a over b is -7/5. You put 1 there, and you get 14 over 5. 14 over 5. So this has a slope of 14/5. And you can see it's not the opposite reciprocal because we needed 7/10. So these are not perpendicular. One's a negative slope, one's a positive slope, but they are not perpendicular. They will not meet at a right angle. This one, the slope would be, it's -5 over -7, which is 5/7. You get -5 over -7, which is 5/7. You can do it the long way and you'll get the same result, 5/7 for the slope of this one. It's good to do all four just in case, B was not the answer and you had to keep going. So it's good to know the steps. This is 5/7 slope. This one would be subtract, so you get -a over b, which is 7/5. Negative over b, you can just see it right there. It's 7/5. So this has a slope of 7/5, which unfortunately they're both positive numbers. So it's a reciprocal, but it's not the opposite sign reciprocal. So these are not perpendicular. So the answer is B. These two lines are perpendicular. This one has a slope of -10/7, and this one has a slope of 7/10. You can see they have different signs, and they're opposite sign reciprocal, opposite reciprocals. So the answer is B.